Let's start off by saying that this is not the correct way to do this, because the technical correct way is to remove every single bolt on here. But I'm going to show you a much easier way, and this could cause some damage to your CV axle. So you've got to be very careful with this. That's my disclaimer. If you do this, you are responsible if you cause any damage. But this is much, much easier and much faster. And if you're good, you could do this in an hour, maybe 2 hours. The tools that you need for this job are very important. First, we got our standard half ratchet, 1/2 inch. And now this is what's really important right here. You need to make sure that you choose a 3/8 ratchet and make sure that it has a thin profile. See right there, see how thin that is? And make sure that this top part right here is as small as possible. This is a Crescent branded wrench, and you need to make sure, it's very, very important, because this is what makes it easier to get in there. There's going to be parts of this that you have to really squeeze in, and you need to choose the right tools, otherwise it's not going to fit and this is not going to work. And then you have to take apart the entire suspension just to do that. So we've got a flathead screwdriver, a brush, steel, we need socket extensions, we need, in 3/8 size, a 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter, 14 and 17. And then on the half ratchet, we need 17 and 14 socket. You also need a 32 millimeter big ass socket like this. You need grease, your bearing of course with the hub, and you're going to need a torque bar, and you will need a impact gun, or you can use a breaker bar. Now if we look over here, there's a few extra items that you're going to need if you're in the north or these bolts are just really stuck on. So you got your breaker bar, anti-seize, torch, you got your slam bar or whatever this is called, slide hammer, you've got a couple of extra wrenches just to get some extra torque on that. You can use a ratchet extension, and really good to have in this size. I'm not sure what size that is. A ratcheting breaker bar and some brake clean. Check out these two sockets. This is important. You need a small 17 to fit into that tight space. Now remove the bolts on the back of your caliper bracket. So I'm using a 14 millimeter on the 3/8 with this little extension. Give her a little reach around for the bottom bracket bolt. Release the handbrake and remove the caliper very carefully. These are the bolts that we are trying to access, here and here. There's 3 of them, and if they are dirty, you're going to need to clean them off and get any rust off of them if there is any, and then give that a little vacuuming. Now it's time to get under the car and access that bolt right there. You're going to need your mini breaker bar with a 17 millimeter socket on there. And then you're going to get that lower bolt off. Let's get this out of the way. Your third and final bolt is right here, and this is your most dangerous one, so you need to be very... Take a look at our tool right here, and we'll see that it needs to be as thin as possible, and this socket needs to be as short as possible. This bolt here is a bit hard to access, and we have to get in here, and we have to get this on there without damaging that CV axle right here. Now put a nice big wrench on there and use that to get some leverage. You might need a strong ratchet for this. You don't want to break it with the torque. Now if yours is rusty, get the brush on there and clean the rust off of it. Get around these edges here so we can get some penetrating oil in there and get this off. And now we attach the slide hammer. Let's get in there with the screwdriver, the flathead, and scrape off any rust or corrosion. Little medium strength thread locker. Now you may find it difficult to get these 3 bolts in. You've got to make sure that this is lined up correctly. So just give it a little tap whichever way you need to go until you can thread your bolt in. together and we got the caliper bolts put in. We're going to put our lock nut on. So first we're going to tighten that down to 100 pound-foot. Then we're going to loosen it up and take it off a little bit. And then we're going to tighten it down to 190 pound-feet. So if you got a Miata like this, hit the subscribe button and I'm going to show you more videos on your car.